What's up, everybody? It's your host, Greg Pihs, back with another episode of Success After Trauma. As you know, we share stories with people that have been through trauma in their life, and if we're honest with ourselves, we all probably experienced trauma at some level or another. But then what did we do with it? And wherever you're at on your journey, some people I talked about, so there's ground level, and some people just got to ground level and they just got out of the ditch. Now, most times we don't celebrate people until they get to the top of the mountain. I want to celebrate you if you're at ground level. I want to celebrate you if you just took the first step in and you're still in the ditch. You're doing the thing, and your story is going to impact someone else, because no matter where you're at on your journey at all times, someone's one chapter behind you and they wish they knew just what you know. So if you have a story that you want to share, reach out to me. I want to share your story on here. Today's guest is Don Hoff. Don's a friend of mine. He's a veteran. Don, you served in the Air Force. Did you serve? Was it 20 years? 19? How many years?
It was 19 years and 2 months exactly.
Okay. And so 19 years in the Air Force, an incredible story. Don went through some trauma. He's going to share a little bit with us today about that, but Don made something of it. Don Hoff is now a mortgage lender. If you want to reach out and connect with Don Hoff, you can reach out to him at Don Hoff, the lender, on Facebook or Instagram. And Don has a heart, as a servant's heart. I was connected with Don through a mutual friend of mine, and they said, look, you got to connect with this guy. His heart's bigger than he is. I'm not sure if you can look on the camera, but the guy eats a little bit of protein and works out every once in a while. Has a heart to serve others. He took his trauma, he processed it, and he went out and has his gifts, sharing them with the world. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest, Don. Can you share a little bit, just a little overview about who is Don in a little 30-second glimpse?
Yeah, man. Greg, thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate this, to share my story. And just a little bit about me. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. I joined the military at 19 years old, just didn't have a direction in my life and just tried to figure it out. I just enlisted knowing nothing about the military, really.
If you don't mind, what sparked the fire for military? Was it like a video? Was it like a friend, a movie? What was the thing that sparked the fire, said, hey, military?
Well, what's kind of funny is, I wasn't really good at school. My grades were, I never went to class. That's really what it was. so
I missed a really important part. It was like showing up.
Yeah, showing up. Had problem doing that.
Yeah,
and I kind of got on the wrong track. And I had some buddies that were coming back on spring break. I was doing some framing and construction and going to junior college. And I had some buddies come back from college on spring break, and they're like, Don, I hate school. I'm going to join the Marines. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's go gun ho. Let's go kill some people and all that kind of stuff. And what was funny, I told my dad that evening, and I was like, Dad, I'm going to join the Marines. And he's like, well, son, if I never thought you were serious about joining the military, but if you want to, look into the Air Force or Coast Guard.
Smart man.
So I did go to the Marine recruiter with my buddy. We were going to do the buddy program at the time. You could get stationed together with a buddy, which probably would have been a horrible idea.
Yeah.
He went to the Marines.
When you're 18 or 19, it sounds like a really great idea.
It sounded like a really good idea.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to the recruiter, and I was like, well, no, I'm not going to do it, bro. And he ended up signing for the Marines. I went to an Air Force recruiter, and I was like, ship me off, kind of thing. And they asked me what I wanted to do, and I told them because I was doing some computer science courses at the time. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got a great job for you. How about be a crew chief? So completely different. Aircraft mechanic on fighter aircraft.
So that's what. So you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive.
Yeah.
So, and crew chief, you have to forgive my ignorance. Can you tell us a little bit what is a crew chief is aircraft mechanic? Is that correct? Or can you?
It's an aircraft. Yeah, it's a aircraft mechanic, and I was in charge of the hydraulic systems and signing off all the inspections before that aircraft went in the air.
Okay.
So, it was a great job. I signed up. I left. I didn't know what I was getting into. People thought I was crazy, and it was probably the best thing that I could have ever done in my life, to just get away from, all the trouble I was getting in, really.
So did you do crew chief the whole time you served, or did you switch jobs?
I switched jobs. So I went from aircraft mechanic into drone operations, and I did that for Air Force Special Ops for 12 years, or not 12 years, 8 years I did that for.
So I gotta tell me a little bit about this. So drone operations. So did
Yeah,
you? My first question is, did you serve? Did you do any combat missions?
I've done hundreds and hundreds of combat missions.
Okay.
I don't even know the exact amount, maybe even thousands. I don't know.
Okay.
Uh,
How far away? What kind? Well, and I don't even know what you can share. Share what you're allowed to
yeah.
share. How far are these? How far are these drones flying unmanned?
So, you know, they fly, we're flying at, 22 to 28,000 feet.
Wow.
We're watching targets, 6 mile slant range. So, and that's, it's
Wow.
one of those things that, the, I say drone because it hits a lot of people, but what it really is, it's a remotely piloted aircraft. And I get yelled at from all my military bros that will be like, that are still in. They're like, it's the RPA community, remotely piloted aircraft flown by professionals. So it's not just like a killer drone out there, just killing a whole bunch of things. This is flown by professionals that are highly trained.
I can only imagine 22,000 feet. I think isn't it like at 10,000 feet the planes let you turn your phones back on when you're doing civilian airline? Like that's crazy to think about that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's one of those things that you're just when I was doing that job from stateside, and we'd fly those things via satellite all over the world,
oh
you know,
wow.
and all the missions are done via satellite,
Wow.
stateside, flying
Wow.
that aircraft over in the AORs. AOR is area responsibility, so it's one of our locations that we'd be at.
Wow. So I can only imagine some of the things that you're watching through the camera as well. How uh, what can you share with
It's
us around the psychological cost of that?
Yeah. So what's kind of crazy about that operation, you're flying these things for 8 hours a day, watching some really, really traumatic stuff. I've watched beheadings, I've watched rapes, I watched uh, pretty much a genocide with some of these terrorist groups, killing women
Wow.
and children. We've killed a lot of people. We shoot, uh, there's everything we done over there was presidential and SecDef targets, and we were working with some of the best teams in the world, uh, killing America's worst targets.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive. I mean,
I mean, our worst enemies, man.
I can only imagine like I have to assume I'm projecting here. But there's got to be and again, just me projecting, there's got to be this like extreme level of pride in doing that. Such an elite mission, and then also again the psychological cost. Have you ever read On Killing Lieutenant Colonel Grossman?
I
The book.
absolutely have.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
good. Love that book.
of course. Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing book, and it really talks about the psychology of killing. And one of the
Man,
things is like, really, like during say Revolutionary War or anything like that back in the day when it was I mean, you're face to face with those guys. What is the psychology? How many people are actually going to go for that headshot? How
right.
many people are going to go like shoot the knee? How many people are going to aim above his head? How many people are really going to kill? And
I remember in that book, if I can dive in for a second, I remember a part, and it's been 10 or 11 years since I read the book, but a part that stood out to me, and I may be paraphrasing or such, but what I extracted, he talks about how it's this it's very abnormal for interspecies killing. There's only a few species on the planet that's normal for: praying mantis, black widow. There's only a few species. I mean, you take some
yeah,
like highly aggressive species, I don't care, dogs, wolves, bears, whatever, they posture. One is determined to be the alpha. That alpha, the one that's not the alpha, bows down. The alpha then allows that the secondary one to go away alive. It's not
for
very
sure.
normal for intraspecies killing. And they talk about, I remember he talked about like when we had bow and arrows during that time.
Hmm.
When we transitioned to um, explosive weaponry, black powder muskets, whatever the first tests were with weaponry. The fact of the matter is, like, think about this. We had people that could pull arrows and split arrows, and think about how quickly I could pull an arrow. I don't know, this is how I vision doing
Yeah.
it.
I love
Pull an arrow, right, and shoot it. And then I can pull another arrow, shoot another, okay. And while you're over there, how long would it take you to pack the next musket?
it. Yeah.
But so think about like now, like because we went there, we've evolved so far with weaponry. Okay, cool. But at that time, we didn't know what we know today, and we still opted to evolve weaponry. And they talked about like, there was a mental psychological satisfaction of making that bang and not having to kill someone. Because now I could miss you on purpose, and you knew because of the bang, so you had the opportunity to back away. Whereas if I pull this arrow and I shoot this thing, if I miss, you might not even know when I shot the arrow. I got to kill you. And so that was one of the big takeaways, like how abnormal it is, and it's crazy in the military. In 19 years, I can't know, but not talking about the equipment used, just talking about the ammunition that you fired and the training that, I mean, the military literally spent millions of dollars on us, training us and desensitizing us on intraspecies killing.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Like, what's crazy is, I was watching TV like multiple screens, and our main screen following targets and putting crosshairs on that target, and we were releasing Hellfire missiles or dropping 500-pound bombs on camps.
How,
Uh,
how did you
yeah,
feel so psychologically during the time? So, and I'll share a little bit. I had my own baggage that I brought. I went to
yeah,
combat, for those listening, infantry, as a ground troop. And as at the time, due to my trauma, I was very desensitized. I was actually very stimulated by war, very very stimulated by war. A couple years later, then you start. For me, I won't say you,
yeah.
started paying the psychological cost a little bit. Can you share a little bit with us in the heat of while you were doing this? What was How were you processing at that time?
Yeah.
When did the bill come due, if you will, psychologically speaking?
Yeah. So, I didn't have any children of my own at that time too. And I I had no problem killing. I was fine with it. I had to sell the mission to our younger airmen at the time, that it's okay to kill. It's either our guys or the bad guys kind of
That's
thing.
right. That's right.
I had to justify it. Hey, if this woman was killed, that was a future terrorist. That's a terrorist breeder. Or if a child was killed, collateral damage, that was a future terrorist. You kind of had to justify it in certain ways, and you know, no matter what, it was just for the mission.
Right. Right. Right.
We
Right.
we did everything was mission first.
Mission
They say
accomplishment,
family
troop
first.
welfare.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I never even thought about any kind of psychological issues uh, with it while I was doing it. I was gun ho. After our kills and everything, we'd go celebrate in the bar. take some shots, talk about our story, and go home with our families.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an everyday thing for many years.
Wow.
Uh, we'd be some of the targets we'd be watching for like 6 months.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
watch this target, we'd get all the intelligence that we could, and we'd even watch them playing with their children, or and then then all of a sudden loading up explosives and shoot them with a missile later, and then just go home as normal everyday everyday operations.
Yeah.
So uh, now when I was doing it, I don't think it affected me as much as once I had my daughter and saw and brought life into the world, it completely gave me a whole different perspective on how I felt. Because
Wow.
seeing my daughter, it was just like so innocent, you know, and she's taught things. And that's how, I mean, those children are innocent,
Correct.
or, and, and I don't know who to put, like, killing is not for me. I've killed a lot of people, and it's not something that I'm proud of. It kind of eats at me because I'm not God. I am not to judge anyone. I don't know who's right or wrong in this world. All we are is taught.
Yeah.
And in the military, we're told, that this is a bad guy. I mean, who knows? But it definitely hit me once I started growing my family.
Yeah, I thought sharing a little bit, and again, I'm very comfortable to share. Again, I was stimulated
Yeah.
during war. I bought a bunch of baggage with me, so again, I was in a very similar boat. I think one place where it changed for me was back in America, and I've had the privilege more than once, and truly a privilege of meeting humans that were Iraqi and living in Iraq as civilians while I was over there conducting operations, and then I've
Yeah.
just bumped into them in America, and they say, oh yeah, I've been here for 5 years, I've been here for 10 years, and then we start talking, and I start asking their point of view, like during the war, and you start realizing that's where I started was like, oh, I started realizing like these people are people like me and you, which that might to some people might be like, duh, Greg. Okay, well,
Right.
you haven't had millions of dollars worth of brainwashing into believing that they're the enemy.
Man.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's insane how we justify things, when we're trained to be killers.
Mm-hmm.
It's and then when it's all over, it's just
High five. Don't do
it's
that no more.
right here, right? Exactly. Hey, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no,
Later.
no, definitely. I think as a which, and we'll get there. I mean, sure hope so, but as a nation, we definitely have to do better. It's crazy. Like I said, I say millions, and I really feel comfortable with that. I mean, think about like going to like a 10-day range evolution. Like, how much ammunition did you fire? Just ammunition, not including anything else. But
Exactly.
think I do say as a nation, we do have to do better. It's not, I think this is an opinion. So as I project, anyone that doesn't like what I'm about to say, reject it. You don't have to keep it as a belief.
Yep.
I think one of our biggest failures, as a nation, is offering, like, our vets come back, and then they exit the military. And first and foremost, they created an identity, which the military does. It's good on them. This is not a bad thing. Create an identity as you of the warrior. You're a warrior. And then when you get out, that gets stripped. So then you're like, who am I? Dude, a warrior is only a little piece of who you are. You are bigger than that ever could have been. The warrior part fit inside of you. You didn't fit inside the warrior. The warrior was just one small little piece. I mean, it was magnificent, but just you're so much bigger than that. Okay, so then we take away the identity, which as a nation we're not doing on purpose, but it's happening. And then the only carrot we're dangling is, if you're really fucked up, we'll give you 100% disability.
Yeah,
And then we
exactly.
and then we put these, you know, that 100% disability, dude, it's enough to be fucking poor. Forgive me for, you know, I was gonna say forgive my language, but don't.
It's a joke. It's
It's
really a joke.
it's enough to be poor, and then we have our veterans out there like, I can't get better because then they're gonna take my check away. Dude, that
Yep.
check ain't shit anyway. Now, you know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't financially help or compensate our veterans. I'm not saying that. But how do we, like, we're literally hitting the nail, we're hammering the coffin, hammering them in the coffin with that. Like, the only reward at the end of all this is if you're really crazy, we'll give you a little bit of money.
Right.
Like,
Right.
not like we're gonna teach you how to heal, not like we're gonna invest that money to give you a new identity. Like, we created this identity for you and we took it from you. You know, let's in the future, you know, it's definitely hopefully as a nation we can do better by helping these veterans create a new identity.
I hope so, because one of the biggest things that I feel like while people are active and doing this, if they really want real medical help, they are dealing with a mental illness. They lose their flight status. They lose their security clearance. So a lot of people are afraid to go get help. You know,
And go ahead,
and
keep
to
going.
get real help. You know, so and I've talked to so many guys that are still in and dealing with it. They're like, Don, I can't do it. I can't go get help yet. I have to. Yeah, I'm having nightmares. I'm having this. I'm having anger issues. They can't go do it because they'll lose their career.
Well, and sadly, you know, I don't uh we just go to we throw meds at them. We throw meds
Yep.
nonstop, and we're making these we're turning our veterans into zombies. We're literally helping perpetuate. I have a buddy of mine, amazing guy, wheelchair. He served. I might if I flip flop him, he'll just have to
Yeah.
forgive me. I think he did 10 years Marine Corps and then 11 Army.
Nice.
Injured at war in a wheelchair, and he like pumped him full of meds. And he tells this story. One day he said he was like so sick of taking all the meds. He said he just he was like gonna drink them in like a Gatorade bottle or something. If I'm butchering the story, forgive me. So he
Mm-hmm.
puts the meds in there, puts the lid on, and goes and throws it out in the trash can. Well, he doesn't realize it doesn't get all the way inside the trash can as he tells a story like a day or so. He literally said, "I'm done taking the meds. Like whatever happens to me, happens to me."
Right.
And it was like a day or so later, he's outside. The Gatorade bottle ended up exploding.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, obviously heat, the
Yeah.
Gatorade, whatever chemicals are in there. He now uses marijuana as his medicine. That's
Cannabis
all he
is
uses.
the yeah. Cannabis. I swear. I know so many guys with PTSD, real severe, and cannabis really helps them cope.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I think cannabis is
I
an
swear by it
exception.
myself.
I think it's an exceptional stabilization tool. Long
100%.
term, you know, we gotta rewire some things.
Yeah.
We gotta take the warrior and wire some of these things back into civilian, back into father, back into husband, back into professional world. Outside of outside of being a professional killer, but yeah, I'm a definitely big advocate of CBD and cannabis, and I'm even you know, I've been researching. I don't know much about, so I can't speak too much on. But my understanding is there's a lot of. I have a buddy of mine, a Marine veteran buddy of mine, and he's even had nonprofits send him to Costa Rica for things like ayahuasca, which is a plant-based medicine, psilocybin, also known as mushrooms.
Sure.
I don't have experience with these. I may or may not have smoked weed when I was in college, but I didn't inhale. No, no, but I don't have experience with ayahuasca or psilocybin. But my
Yeah.
understanding is these are alternative modalities that people are using to microdosing and things of that nature to help veterans with PTSD. And from the people that I
For sure.
personally know that have been through programs, it's really powerful. But
Yeah.
you know, whatever modality, I think the VA should just consider, or and again, as a nation, it's not just the VA. The VA is not the enemy here. The VA is not the enemy. We're
Oh,
doing the best we can with the resources we have up till now,
for sure.
and we're doing better than what we did. I mean, let's be real. As I sit here and complain how we're treating veterans, I'm kind of targeting in on the OIF, OEF. But you know, when I got back, I also wasn't spit on and called a baby killer like the Vietnam vets. How horrible was that? I can't
I
even
can't even
imagine.
imagine.
I can't even
No,
imagine.
I
How,
can't. I
like,
mean,
think about that.
yeah, that's a whole different generation, and yeah, you know, we're, we're still thanked for our service. Those guys weren't. They were spit on
Oh,
and like just so I don't even know about that. I can't even imagine that, and I'll never be in that situation, so I can never even really compare myself to anything like that.
and I gotta suggest for everyone listening and watching, when you see that old veteran, and I don't care if they're Vietnam or not, but when you see that old veteran wearing that hat, that shirt, whatever it is, where they're representing that they're a veteran, dude, if you can just walk up to them, even if you're a veteran, like I do this all the time, like even if you're a veteran, you don't have to tell them that you're a veteran. No, just walk up to them and thank them for their service. It means the world to that person. I don't care if they say it doesn't. I don't care if they say, all right, cool. It means the world to them. And there was a time when they didn't get it, when they deserved it, even more than now. When you see that veteran, definitely take the opportunity, just walk up and shake his hand, thank him for his service. It means the world.
Yeah, 1000%, man.
So
So
Don, tell me. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, so I am diagnosed as moderate to severe PTSD. And I, I've just figured out ways to cope with it. Gym is number one. That's really my sanctuary, and it clears my head. And then meditation is another one, and really just I really just try to have positive thoughts in my head, because I can go into a negative spiral so quick, and I try to stay away from that. So
I want to hone on that a little bit. There's so much power there for you, for everyone listening that has that spot, like they can't get out of their own head. That the magic takes place between here and here, and recontrolling the thoughts and the positive thoughts. You have a choice. We have free will. We were given by the higher power of your choice. God gave us free will. You have a choice to think positive. Because you think positive, I didn't say you were healed. But when you think positive, you're able to do positive things. Don, can you share a little bit around, I mean, anything you have? What do you use? How do you, when you catch yourself in a negative spiral, what anchors do you use to pull yourself back out? What can you share around that?
yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things. I mean, I'm blessed to have a beautiful young daughter that every time I look at, if I get any kind of, it just she just motivates the shit out of me. I'm not gonna like that little girl right there, and motivating. I'm motivated to be a best dad ever.
I
Uh,
love that, man.
that's everything to me. And right now, I talked to a few of my buddies that were in the military 30 years, and one of them has 5 daughters. And out of the 30 years, he was gone 15 years of his
Wow.
daughter's lives.
Wow.
And he's like, Don, I don't even know my daughters. They don't know me. My wife raised them. I sacrificed, I supported them and I provided, but I don't know them. And I, I vow, and when he told me that too, he's like, spend every second you can, because you'll never get it back. And I vow to do that for my daughter. Uh, my new career has given me the freedom and flexibility to do that. I don't have to deploy. I don't have to be away from my family. Now it's a choice.
So
So
for everyone listen, I want to share. Let's say you don't have kids. What I want, the takeaway that I want to deliver in what Don just shared with you is he said that what is the thing he said? My daughter motivates me. What is the thing that motivates you that you want to be the best at? I don't care what it is. What is the thing that motivates you? And then tunnel vision to that thing. That becomes your anchor. That becomes your happy place, your PM, your positive mental attitude. You now have a place to go. If you don't have, I share this with people all the time, if you don't have a place to go, so when the negativity happens, we have to go to a place. If we haven't predetermined that place, no shit, we can't find a place. The clouds are too heavy. We're like, shit, I'm stuck here. I can't go nowhere. I don't have nowhere to go. But if it's predetermined, see, Don knows, focus on my daughter. And as soon as he gets to this place, it's a whole nother thing. He can't help like, hey, I got to provide, I got to teach, educate, love, inspire my daughter. Boom, neurology is affected and changed. For everyone that's listening, if you get in those dark spells and can't figure out how to get out, determine a predetermined. I don't know. Determine a
Right?
predetermined. Yeah, like it works. I'll allow it.
It
Um,
works.
yeah, where is that place? And whatever it is, look, whatever motivates you, what makes you happy, what do you get excited for? What do you get jazzed up for? And
Yep.
really build that place out. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What are you doing? How do you win? What's the next level? Um,
Yep.
for the
You know
listeners,
what?
now,
It sounds
oh, go ahead.
so simple. Oh, it sounds so simple too, because it's just find that happy place. What is your happy place? It's like something you learn in like kindergarten or something. Finding that happy place.
And the crazy
And
thing, oh, go ahead, keep going.
everybody's is different, and you just got to find it, and you got to go to that happy place when you get those dark thoughts in your head, because they will spiral you, and you can go into a pit that you can't come back out of.
Gets deep. Ooh. Okay, and if you say I don't have a happy place, I love you. If you say I don't have a happy place, it's because you haven't chosen a happy place. Happiness is an inside job. You choose what makes you happy. There is not a it is my belief, reject it if you don't want it, okay? It is my belief God did not make each one of us and say, here's the thing that's going to make Greg happy. But Don, he gets this thing that makes him happy. God gave us this really cool thing that said, hey, here's free will of choice. Decide what's going to make you happy. If you don't have a
Right?
happy place, it's because you haven't decided what makes you happy. Okay, so what? You got all the options in the world and the power of choice. Okay, let me hop off that soapbox. Don, I gotta ask you. So you're killing it. You're killing it in the mortgage industry. What do you attribute to success by today's standard, or
Well,
by today's atmosphere for you?
yeah. So I mean, I fell into this by the luck of a draw, really. Uh, the the end of my military career, I was at 18 and a half years. I was going through a horrible divorce. I was married 13 years to my first wife, no kids. So I was going through that. It was my fault. I made mistakes that I wish I could take back. But hey, you gotta live. You gotta live with your mistakes. So I made
And
some
we all
mistakes
make them.
there. Law, yep, law, ruined that marriage. I was going through PTSD, legal issues. I made like it was a holiday weekend. I was out and about. My current wife was pregnant, which is kind of crazy. I had a vasectomy at 30 years old, and at
A little divine
30,
intervention.
a little divine intervention was like Don must procreate.
Yeah,
To,
yeah.
like, really, it was one of those things, and I was still just going through really like hard time in my life on uh, just about everything. My military career, I felt like I was stagnant. I didn't know what the next step in my life was, and I made a complete mistake that ruined or ended my military career at 19 years and 2 months, 10 months short of retirement. So I didn't get my pension, unfortunately. I I used drugs over a weekend, and I didn't even think twice. It was just like a coping thing, and they did a random drug test on a holiday weekend. It was like a Monday, and they called everybody in early. And 2 weeks later, I got arrested by OSI, and I didn't say a word, and just got lawyers, and they released me. Uh, I, I got released from the military with I got reduced to staff sergeant, which is the E5, and I just kind of messed up my life at that time. And I felt like the world was, I had this black cloud over my head, and I didn't know how to get out of it. I really fucked up. I'm having a baby. I have a new wife. And I'm like, I lost my top secret security clearance that was suspended. You know, it was 6-figure jobs right out of the military with a top secret and with RPA operations experience. I I thought right there, I was like, I really screwed up my life. Uh, I got to figure this shit out really quick. And what ended up happening is I came to Nashville, couldn't find a job. You know, we came here, moved to Franklin, Tennessee, with no job, no, really. My brother worked for HCA, and I thought I was going to get in as a project manager, and I was interviewing with them for 4 months, and then they told me at the end that they're just hiring internally. I interviewed probably 100 times at other companies, and for project management positions, corporate. And my wife, I just got so tired of it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get my real estate license, and I'm gonna do that. And once I saw an Indeed position for a loan officer assistant with Colton Mortgage, and I clicked on it, and I saw that Jim Stewart, he responded, or he was looking at my LinkedIn, and I wrote him right away, and I was like, Jim, I have no industry experience with the mortgage industry, but I'm a hard worker, fast learner, and I promise you wouldn't be disappointed. Set up a meeting, and he was like, Don, this doesn't pay anything. You know, $500 a week. You get a little bonuses, but once you get licensed as a loan officer, it can be exponential. And I was like, sold. I got it. I'll take $500 a week, whatever. I was just, I mean, I was driving Lyft and Uber, you know, making like, you know.
Dude, what year is this? What year is this right here where you're telling us?
This is 2019.
19, y'all. Just everyone listen, in 2019, we're in 2022. I'm not sure how much of the success Don is going to share. Humble guy. This guy is killing it, and really from establishing relationships. I mean, this guy has when's the last time you had lunch with the real Brad Lee?
You know, just he's amazing. So Brad, I actually just saw him at Lifetime the other day, so that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I kind of pulled you off your path, but I just want to show people what's possible. Like where you're at 2019, here we are 2022. I apologize, I pulled you off your path. Keep going, please. So good. Now you get the job, loan assistant.
Yeah, I got the loan officer assistant. I thought I was going to get fired pretty quick. I sucked at the phones. It wasn't my thing. I told him I'm better in person, you know, with people. And it was 4 months as a loan officer assistant. I really hated it. It was a lot of cold calling. It was just answering really crappy leads. And at the time, my boss was like, Don, I don't know if this position's for you, kind of thing. And I'm like, hell yeah, it is. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work. And on the weekends, I was out on the boat, not answering the leads that he was sending me. And he sent one email that really hit me. He's like, Don, I don't know what kind of job you think this is, but if you want to be a loan officer at a bank, you know, you can live an average normal life. You make 60 to 80K a year, or you can be a fucking rainmaker and work your ass off and put in the work, and you can live the life that you always dreamed of. I showed that to my wife, and she's like, you better step up your game. And we, after that, I went full force, and I got kicked out of the office. I just passed my test, and my boss was like, Don, we don't have room for you in this office. It was a small office. And he's like, go find business. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? You know, and all I did, I went to every networking event, met as many realtors as possible. I set 5 to 7 meetings a day for at least 2 years.
Wow.
And I've been lucky to meet some, I'm blessed to say, with the relationships that I've built and the genuine people that I work with, that I care about. And that have cared about me and helped me build to where I am today, I'm forever grateful.
Dude, that's awesome. And so now you
Yeah.
run your own team, don't you?
Yeah. I have 3 loan officers right now on my team. I'm growing. This job's not for everybody, but it's a it's a job that I can never imagine. I can't imagine doing anything different right now because I love helping people fund the American dream, man. There is nothing like that. I went to a closing today, and it was just I'm just coming back from that, and it was, man, when they're so happy and so excited and so grateful and thankful after me bothering them to get documents and this and that, seeing them at the closing table is the best thing ever. And when they're grateful, there's nothing like it. And I found my niche, what I'm good at, and I'm just gonna keep growing, and I'm gonna be a 1%er in this industry. I promise you that.
Boom. Dude, I love it, man. I love what you shared today. And I know someone out there, if you heard that and you want to connect deeper with Don because something hit you, something were like you were like, "Oh my gosh, maybe Don said something that related to something that you experienced and now you may be feeling empowered." Reach out to Don. It's Don Hoff, Hoff. It's Don Hoff the lender. Facebook, Instagram, a great place to reach out. Send him a message, contact with him. And this guy definitely he'll reach back out to you. He'll share anything he can with you. Don, I really appreciate getting to have you on today. Before we get out of here, do you have any final thoughts, any final words, or that you want to share with everyone?
Man, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me and letting me share a little piece of my story. When you feel like you have a black cloud over you and you can't get out of it, keep moving forward, because there's a day it will clear up and good things will happen to good people. So just be kind and be genuine, and I promise you good things will happen to you.
Dude, that's awesome. I sure appreciate it. Thank you for everyone tuning in. We're streaming on any major platform. Make sure you download, listen to this in the car when you get a chance. Check us out on YouTube. It's Success After Trauma. Like and subscribe to the channel so you can see when new episodes coming out. And if you have a story to share, I want to help you share it. Your story is going to impact many. And if you have a story to share, but you're not ready to share it yet, reach out to me privately. I'm going to help you build the confidence to share your story. Your story needs to be shared not only for you, but for everyone else in the world. You're going to change lives. Thank you, everyone. Be great. It's already in you.